Are you looking for a BMW and wondering which is the most reliable one on the market right now? Well, I've been wondering that, so I spent way too much time looking into this, and now I'd like to share it with you. I will be looking at BMWs that are 2015 or newer, so not older than 10 years as of making of this video, and were available for sale in the United States. When considering the most reliable BMWs in the last 10 years, we have to understand the engines, as those have drastically changed in the last few generations and are the most complex part of the car. So it definitely has to be reliable. Just like many other modern manufacturers, BMW uses the same engines across most of their range. So I think we can start there and then narrow it down to the specific models as we move through the video. When it comes to BMWs sold in the States, there are basically only three major engine designs. We have the straight 4, straight 6, and the V8. And in the last 10 years, there have only been two major iterations of the straight 4 and the straight 6, and about 4 different iterations of the V8. We'll discuss all of those. For the 4-cylinder engines, we start with the BMW N20 engine. In fact, that's this engine in my BMW Z4. This engine has been in production between 2011 and 2018 and did not start out very reliable, but got better by the end of its run. However, as early as 2015, many models started phasing it out and replacing it with a successor, a more modern and re-engineered BMW B48 engine. This new engine is similar to the N20 engine, and the two share a lot of technologies such as the twin-scroll turbocharger, dual overhead camshaft, Valvetronic system, and double vanos. But it's been updated with a forged crankshaft, longer stroke, and smaller bore for improved torque delivery and efficiency. They have also moved the timing chain location from the front to the back here and improved the materials of the timing chain guides, which is a huge issue on these N20 engines. Additionally, it can adjust the oil pressure dynamically with the new electronically controlled oil pump. All these changes improve reliability and address some of the major issues of the BMW N20 engine. One important change from the N20 engine to the B48 engine is that the B48 engine is part of BMW's modular engine family, sharing the design elements with the 3-cylinder B38 and the 6-cylinder B58 engines. This means more development money and time has gone into making sure these engines are reliable. All that to say is that BMWs with the newer B48 engine provide a significant upgrade over the N20 engine, offering better reliability, efficiency, and performance. Even though the N20 engine got much better towards the end, and in fact this is a 2015 version of the engine in my 2012 BMW Z4 because the previous one basically blew up, I think we can safely say that BMWs with the N20 engine do not belong on the list of most reliable BMWs made in the last 10 years. The next set of engines are the straight 6 engines, the pride and joy and what BMW does best. The story is very similar here, with a few differences. The N55 engine was an improvement over the N54 engine and released in 2009. It was in production for over a decade, finally being discontinued with the F16 BMW X6, at least for mainstream cars. Similarly to the N20 engine, it did not start out too well and had a few common issues that got patched up later into production. That's the engine I had in my BMW 335i that grenaded itself after spinning a rod bearing. In fact, you can check out a full video where I do a full rebuild of the engine in about 30 minutes right here. Anyway, in 2015, production started on the B58 engine, which is what I have in this BMW X7, and it's based on the same architecture as the B48 engine as mentioned earlier. This included an improved engine block, adding strength and durability with closed deck design. The stroke is also longer on the B58 engine with smaller bore, improving low-end torque and efficiency. The cooling system was enhanced and added a water-to-air intercooler to reduce turbo lag and improve throttle response. It also got higher pressure fuel injection, improved timing chain design and materials, a forged steel crankshaft, and better thermal management with oil pump and oil cooler redesign. I have owned vehicles with N54, N55, and now B58 engines, and while I really like the N55 engine for its power delivery, The B58 engine just does it better. It has more tuning potential and it's a lot more reliable. So unfortunately, I would have to exclude BMWs with the N55 engines from the most reliable BMW list as well. Before we move on to the BMW's V8 engines, let me show you something that I hope will completely change the way I capture my car videos in the future. The Phoenix V11 Pro drone. Setting this up, super simple. Just unfold the arms, power it on, calibrate it, and within a minute, you're in the air. Straight out of the box, this thing is built like a premium drone. Sleek, lightweight, and packed with advanced features. It comes with a 4K camera, 3-axle gimbal stabilization, and a flight time of up to 40 minutes in each of the 2 batteries. Luckily, flying it is surprisingly easy to get into as this is my first drone, but as always, hard to master. Thanks to built-in GPS, time of flight sensor, visual positioning, navigation lights, auto hover, auto land, and auto return features, I was able to capture some decent shots on my first try and not crash the drone. Whether you're a beginner or a pro, it's easy to control and super fun to fly. If you'd like to take your automotive content or travel videos to the next level, the Phoenix V11 Pro is a great way to start developing these skills. I especially like this follow me mode that does not require a second person. My second favorite intelligent flight mode is the point of interest mode, where the drone will circle around, letting you pull off cinematic shots with zero effort. All this makes it perfect for car enthusiasts. Not only can you capture cinematic and rolling shots of your BMW, you can also scout new roads on your off-road adventures, or capture cool footage of your next car meet, or just fly it for fun. Whatever the reason, the V11 Pro is a great place to start for a great price. Check out the links in the description to get yours. Now, let's get back to finding the most reliable BMW. Unlike the previous engines, there's only one V8 engine BMW has manufactured in the last 17 years, the BMW N63. Well, same design because there have been a few very important technical updates and versions that make a huge difference. I have a full video on the BMW N63 reliability, but to summarize, there are 4 versions of the engine. We have the standard, the original N63 engine, and then 3 technical updates, each fixing some major issues. The original N63 engine was manufactured until 2013, so it's out of our scope, but I wouldn't get a car with that engine anyway. Way too many problems. The next version was known as the N63TU technical update and manufactured until 2016. This engine had improved valve stem seals, better turbos, lower oil consumption, but it still had timing chain issues. This is the engine I had in my BMW 550i, which I owned for 4 years. Personally, I was impressed with the performance and reliability as I did not have any issues at all. I've only had to change spark plugs, ignition coils, and the engine oil for the 4 years I owned it. The next update was known as the N63TU2 and manufactured between 2016 and 2020. It had revised cooling, better timing chains, which is great, and more durable internals. I would definitely consider a car with this engine if you're looking for a V8. The last update was in 2020 and known as the N63TU3, and it is the most reliable and powerful version of the engine. Some of the major improvements included high pressure fuel injection, improved timing chains, again, and more efficient thermal management to help extend engine life and reduce stress on components. Definitely a recommended engine version as well. Overall, the N63 engine is more susceptible to high cost maintenance compared to the other engines we've discussed so far, but if you stick to the later versions, you shouldn't have to worry about too many issues, as later versions are significantly improved over the earlier ones. So I would recommend skipping cars with the N63 and the N63TU engines, but definitely going for the TU2 or TU3 if that's something you're looking for. If you're wondering why did I skip the S variants of the engines discussed in this video, such as the S55, S58, or the S63 that are used in the M cars, well, I didn't want to spend too much time discussing the differences. But I believe that in general, these engines are much more maintenance intensive and are driven very hard and would not fall into a category of reliable BMWs compared to the more pedestrian versions. If this video does well and you guys enjoy it, let me know down below in the comments, and I'll do an M-specific video to find out which of the M engines are the most reliable. Speaking of reliable, let's talk about transmissions. Luckily, there isn't much to talk or worry about. Most BMWs within the last decade have used the ZF 8 HP 8-speed automatic transmission, and it has been perfectly reliable. The only issue is that BMW claims lifetime fluids, which can cause issues such as rough shifting and slipping on high mileage cars. Other than the DCT transmission on the M cars, the only other option was the 6-speed manual, which is perfectly reliable, although very uncommon in the States. Now, is there anything else that you need to look out for when shopping for a BMW? Definitely. However, this is where it becomes more complicated. You have to research your specific model to see what are the common issues. Luckily, there are usually videos discussing just that. For example, I have a video on common issues on my BMW i3, X7, and this Z4, and all of the other BMWs I have owned in the past. If I had to generalize, I would say that the more niche the model is, the more issues you can expect to encounter. For example, the BMW i3. Overall, it's a reliable BMW, but if something does go wrong, you can't just take it to any shop. In fact, some BMW dealers don't even have the staff to work on these EVs. I would also not recommend buying this BMW Z4 to someone that does not care about cars and isn't willing to DIY some of the issues. The roof has stopped working 3 times on this car for me now due to a broken wire. I can repair it in a couple of hours usually, but it would cost thousands if I took it to a dealer. Either way, this car is from 2012, so it's outside of our criteria here, but my point is that even if the engine and the transmission are reliable, the less common BMWs will have more unique issues, and you'd have to take on more risk buying them. And thus, these should be excluded from the most reliable list as well. So after all that, which BMW should you buy? I know that was a lot of information in a short amount of time, but we were able to narrow it down to a few models in every category and budget. We have established that the N20 and the N55 engines are not as reliable as the newer B48 and B58 engines. We also know to avoid early N63 engine cars and the more performance-oriented S variants, as those will require more attentive maintenance. Now let's narrow it down even further. If you're looking for a sedan, I believe the most reliable model out of the entire range will be the 2017 and newer BMW 540i with the B58 engine, as well as the BMW 330i with the B48 engine starting in 2019. Both of these cars will have a strong engine for the size of the car. They will be efficient and low on maintenance costs. None of the V8 cars are as reliable, but the engine is under the least amount of stress in a 5 Series car. So I would recommend the 2018 to 2023 BMW M550i if you're looking for luxury and performance. On the other hand, if you're looking for something more sporty like a coupe, I would be very comfortable recommending a 2018 or newer BMW M240i with the B58 engine, as it's reliable, compact, and a great performer. The BMW 430i Coupe starting in 2021 with the B48 engine will be more comfortable but not as performance oriented unless you go for the bigger 440i. Overall, a great buy as well. If you must have a convertible, any of the newer generation Z4s will be fine, but the risk of the roof going bad is always there. Speaking of luxury, you might consider SUVs to be more luxurious. Out of the remaining models, the most reliable on the list will have to be the BMW X3 xDrive 30i with the BMW B48 engine, starting in 2018. It's a great balance of reliability and cost. If you'd like more performance with a stronger engine, the BMW X5 xDrive 40i starting in 2019 with the B58 engine will be a low maintenance option and will do everything you will ever need a car to do. The X7 with the same engine is a great option as well if you're looking for a giant SUV, but it does have more issues like the transfer case. Lastly, let's quickly look at the EVs. I know people hate them for some reason, but they're coming, so we have to talk about them. I would probably skip the first mass production generation EVs from BMW though, like the BMW i3 and the i8, but the i4 is a great car and something I'm actually considering to replace my BMW i3. Battery and charging systems have had minimum major issues so far, and overall BMW i4s are very reliable. The BMW i5, i7 and the iX use a very similar eDrive unit but in a larger chassis, putting more stress on the system with more technology and experimental features that aren't very mainstream, resulting in more chances of electronic failure. So I would give it some time before jumping onto those. As you can see, guys, it's really windy in here and I'm getting cold, so I'm gonna have to finish up. But I really hope that I helped you pick the most reliable BMW for your needs. Just avoid the early model years of the new generations and stick to the B48 and the B58 engines for the most reliable cars. If you'd like to learn more about engine reliability, check out these 3 videos where I go into details on the BMW N20, N55 and B58 engines. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Leave your comments down below if you'd like to add more information or ask any question, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!